Fresh takes with Russo and Felice here, fingerlakes1.com. I'm Paul Russo. Across from me at the table, Nick Felice, as always. Coming to you live from the fingerlakes1.com studio, Second Falls, New York, third floor of the North Park building. Nate Sharman behind the scenes. As always, you'll hear his voice and appreciate his magic touch, as he called it earlier to me today, on the keys. So, Nick, long time no see.
You know, I was watching Sports Center this week. Just a random note here.
Okay.
I was watching Sports Center this week, and a couple times I heard, and I think it was also MLB Network, they were saying, oh, we're going off script. You know, a lot of these, network shows actually has a script for them. Obviously, they improv a little bit, but they actually have a script. You and I and Nate, we don't have a script. We have our topics, but we don't know what's going to come out of our mouths. So, I think we're better than them. That's how I want to start the show.
Yeah. So, good news is we aren't being held hostage by Aaron Rodgers, so we have free range to talk about anything we want.
Yeah.
Out of range. I kind of jokingly said, right, long time no see. Ran into each other. That's one of the topics, right? Sectional basketball. So that's down the line. Pretty much all like basketball podcasts today in a way.
I want to make a shout out, Patrick Kane making his Rangers debut tonight.
Kaner.
Vladimir, whatever.
Tarasenko.
Yeah, Tarasenko. I was gonna say Trokov, but that's that other guy. Vladimir with the game winner last night against the Flyers. So, looking forward to that. Patrick Kane, is he still a superstar?
We'll find out. I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
But, so we'll touch on some college basketball stuff that we alluded to last week a little bit, but it's kind of, I wouldn't say brought really much more to the front of the scene now, but it's hard to ignore some of the Brandon Miller stuff going on. So we'll touch on that. Nick will be able to take a victory lap on Syracuse as we discuss their turmoil. But first, we have the NBA. It's been a fantastic, if you're in the league, I don't think you can ask for a better 10 days coming out of the All-Star break. You have some good headlines, a couple bad, but probably good headlines. We'll start with, really in the East, we have a bunch of streaking teams. Now, some good, some bad, but we'll touch, obviously, on the good ones, mainly
the Hornets.
Unfortunately for the Hornets, they're on a losing streak of 1 right now.
They were on a 5-game winning streak.
But, you're right, last 10 they are 5-5. So, but for the top team in the East, the Milwaukee Bucks, and for the now 5 seed, New York Knicks, they have some of the biggest winning streaks we've seen all year. Bucks with the biggest one at 16, they're still going strong. The Knicks at 7. Do want to start with the Bucks, so the top seed, before we get to the Knicks. Been dealing with some injury issues with Giannis and a couple other guys. They've pretty much have been either 1 or 2 in the East all year. It's kind of strange to say, are they getting hot at the wrong time? But you got a winning streak of 16. They are at 62 games, so that means there's only 20 left. Is it possible they're just really hot at maybe not the right time in a way?
The Bucks are the favorite in the East, in my opinion.
Yeah. I don't disagree with that, by the way.
Obviously, I'm not a huge Celtics guy, so I'll never give them credit. No, I think if they didn't lose Middleton last year, I think they could have ran it back. Warriors were pretty good. It would have been interesting to see how they would have played against they would have played the Heat, right, in the conference finals.
Yeah.
And then they would have played the Warriors in the finals. So, I mean, obviously you're looking at, you can't guarantee they were going to win the championship if they got by the Celtics. But I think they could have got by the Celtics if they had Middleton. So then they won the championship before. So I've always looked, even though they didn't win it last year, I've always looked at them as the favorite in the East at least. And I look at them as a favorite right now, especially 16 in a row. I mean, there was a lot of people on these networks that were saying it's Celtics versus whoever comes out of the West. I disagree completely. Sure, the Celtics are in the conversation, but it's the Bucks right now, and the 16-game winning streak has proven that. The Giannis Antetokounmpo, who you called out years.
I was right at the draft. I was right.
Well, you did say he was going to be top 5 all the time. I don't think he's there yet. But you knew the talent. You saw the talent. I'll give you credit there. But he's the best player in the league. He's unstoppable. He's just so good. So tall.
Mm-hmm.
So good.
Yeah.
I can't say enough about him. But, yeah, they're the favorites. And then there's a bunch of teams right there. I think there's a bunch. I think you could put a
Yeah, I mean,
bunch in
the
there.
East is pretty fascinating because you still have to include the Celtics, who, when healthy, can go toe to toe with the Bucks. I mean, I know Jaylen Brown's out right now. Tatum's kind of in and out. I know he's been dealing with, I think it's like a back and an ankle issue or something like that. But kind of weird. As much as you talk about a team that you like to hate, I love to hate the Sixers. But I mean, they're right there. Cleveland's been a nice surprise. I mean, they're a few further steps back, but right behind Cleveland now is your New York Knicks, winners, 7 straight ball games,
Not just 7 straight, 7-0 since we acquired Josh Hart.
9-1 in the last 10 as well. And this is where, speaking of talent and me being able to judge it, I do have to eat some crow. Because if we remember, me with the Jalen Brunson signing,
Hey,
not well on my part.
Yeah.
It's not aging well at the moment.
hey, I wasn't too sure. I wasn't a hater,
Mhm.
but I wasn't too sure what we were getting in Jalen
Right.
Brunson. And he is, he's unbelievable. He really is. The fact that he wasn't an all-star is unbelievable. He's the most valuable player on this team. Without him, there is no New York Knicks being a 5 seed right now. I don't know. I'm very biased with my Knicks, but man, there's the 2021 team that made the playoffs and was the 4 seed overachieved that year.
Mhm.
That team was not a 4 seed. They deserved to lose to Atlanta that year. I mean, we had Alfred Payton as our point guard. Derrick Rose was the go-to guy. Randall had never played in the playoffs. Quickly and Toppin were rookies.
Robinson was very raw.
Robinson didn't even play. He was
Right.
hurt. So Capella
Oh,
killed.
right, that's true. Yeah.
Capella killed him there, and yeah, I could see now why they lost that series. But this is a different team. As much as I would hate to lose to the Cavs, because right now we're matched up with the Cavs in the first round, because that would suck because of the whole Donovan Mitchell thing. But I don't know if this team would do that. I mean, they're deep. Got guys like Derrick Rose and Evan Fournier who don't even play. These are two guys that could play on they could play on the bench on a lot of teams in the NBA. They don't even play on our team. Josh Hart, as much as I hate to see McBride get pushed out of the rotation, Josh Hart has, he's a very underrated player, and he's really helped out with those role players, and he's a great for that second unit. And he's got the chemistry with Brunson already. They won a couple championships with Villanova. So that was a great add, especially we didn't really give up that much, in my opinion. And Randall's improved his game. Brunson's come over. I like to see RJ improve a little bit more. But just, I don't know. They're a lot better than that team 2 years ago.
So before I get into really, I think the main question I have with this, Brunson's the leader of this team at this point, right?
Yes.
Like, I don't think there's a way around it.
He's also improved Randall's game a
Mhm.
lot as well, because Randall's never had a point guard. He had Alec Burks as his point guard last year.
Please lay off of Alec Burks.
I have nothing wrong with Alec Burks. He's a nice little player. He's not even a point guard, though. That's the thing. So he's helped Randall's game out tremendously. And then a lot of these guys, Quickly's improved a lot. I wish Toppin would get more minutes, but I don't know. That's just his
I mean,
role
he's
right
also
now.
building back right now, too, still from the injury, right?
Yep, he's just getting back. Robinson's,
Mhm.
solid. He's good. He's been great. When we play a guy like Embiid, we also beat Jokic this year, so he's done a good job there.
Mhm.
Actually, Jokic didn't play that game, but
Wow.
but he's good with the big men. Try to hold them down. We've done a good job with Tatum. That's why we won 2 straight against the Celtics. Got a third game hopefully a third in a row on Sunday. I don't know. It's not a fluke, this 7-game winning streak. They're only a game and a half behind the Cavs now from getting home court in the playoffs. I don't know. I do know the Nets, watching them last night, they're going to keep falling.
Yeah.
They are going to keep falling, which could be good news for your Heat.
Yeah.
I think they can sneak out of the play-in because of the Nets. So yeah, it sucks what's going on. They got a lot of players on that Nets team,
Yeah.
but just no go-to guy.
My final question to you regarding the Knicks is, because I think we're both in agreement that this is a different team, a better team. than the one you, for example, said in 21-22. But is the 7-game winning streak any like a bit fool's gold to you? Like, do you expect them to still say win every 9 of 10 games at this point, like this recent run, or?
No, I don't expect them to win every game, but there's no team I fear as a fan. I think because we've proven we can hang with the Bucks. They would have beat the Bucks at one game. Drew Holiday didn't go off. They've beaten the Celtics twice. They actually went into Denver and Utah. I know that's not saying. I mean, Denver's number 1 seed, but Jokic didn't play that game. But they went into Denver, Utah. They never went there, and you know, I'm very biased. I don't want to get my hopes up because we haven't made the conference finals since I think '99. So it's been a while, but this team's special. It'd be interesting to see Thibodeau's 9-man rotation, how effective that will be going into the playoffs. Are they going to be dead? Are they going to be tired? Because he's still playing Randall and them, still puts them back in when they're up 30 points. I think it was the Pelican games the other day. They were up like 30 points. He put them back in. Like, that was just not needed. But.
Right. Yeah, you mentioned the Nets. They're in a hornet's nest in the East
still
right now
seed right now.
Guys. Yeah, I mean, I think the Knicks are safe from falling into the playoff. I mean, they could end up with like the 6th seed.
They got a huge game against your Heat tomorrow.
But I don't see them falling back in. But yeah, 6 through really what would be 13. So that's Nets, Heat, Hawks, Raptors, Wizards, Bulls, Pacers, Magic, all separated by about, we'll call it 7 games collectively or so.
There's like 18 left.
Right. For the most part, each team is somewhere in between the 18 to 20 range left. I don't see, for example, the Nets or the Heat falling completely out of the play-in, for example. But a team like the Wizards, a 10th seed, who only have a full game advantage on, say, the Bulls, or, this is a tough part. I mean, they're up a full 4 on Orlando, so is Orlando really in it? Mathematically, yes, very much so, but realistically, probably not.
Well, it's the thing with that race is those teams don't win very often.
Right.
So it's hard to gain ground when you don't win.
And it's similar in the West, so let's move over there. Do want to begin, though, in the West. The main focal points become Nikola Jokic in the West. And it's only because all of a sudden this past week, a lot of people are calling him like a stat padder all of a sudden, which I don't get. He is by far the best passing big man of all time at this point. There's no disputing that. No disrespect to Will or Bill or anybody from that era. But he's already, I think, like top 10 in assists for centers. It's nuts. And, he's already, I think, top 10 in career triple-doubles, too. It's nuts. I think a lot of it may be kind of the MVP fatigue already. He's won 2 in a row. To me, he's the front runner for it for a 3rd time. At that point, you have a lot of voters usually who try and find somebody else to give it to. Whether Embiid.
But it's hard not to give it to him because Denver's number 1 seed right now.
Right. What you got over there, Nate?
Oh, I was just looking at the triple-double numbers, and he's 6 above Wilt.
Okay, so I might have got my numbers confused there a little bit, but either way.
Yeah, I knew he was in the top 10. I just wanted to confirm.
Yeah, so, but I don't have a problem. I think Embiid deserves it this year as well. But if you don't, I'm just not a fan of people in the media at this point. Or I guess I'd call it people in the media, say ESPN or something like that.
We've called them out so much in the first 20 minutes of the show.
But if you don't want to vote for a guy for MVP, I get that. But make sure you're voting for a guy MVP then who actually deserve it, and not because you're just sick of giving it to Jokic, who you don't like because he's just not flashy enough for you anymore or something like that. You know what I mean?
It's like Shohei Ohtani.
Mm-hmm.
I play fantasy sports, love them, and the fantasy numbers are pretty on par with how they perform in the league. And Jokic and Shohei Ohtani are always at the top every year. So I think you have a case for both of them every single year to win MVP. But it's just those voters, they want to give it to someone else. Just I don't know. It's kind of I don't even know if it really helps your legacy really anymore, because a lot of people do care about their legacy. I think the only thing that matters is championships.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know about that so much anymore in a way. I mean, especially to me anyway in the NBA, like the MVP thing got so diluted in the mid-2000s because you had people voting for Steve Nash because they just didn't want to vote for like Shaq anymore or Kobe anymore or anything like that. I think Michael Jordan only has like 2 career MVPs. Like, it's just like nuts, like in that sense. And on the flip side, if we want to go to another sport, like, and this is something that I'll get into arguments with people about, is like, well, Mike Trout's MVP. I'm like, cool, but he doesn't like win. Like, cool, like, congrats, like, So I don't know.
But I'll also say basketball is the hardest sport to decline. In baseball, Mike Trout could have, not saying that he will, but he could.
Okay, I see what you mean.
Could go
now.
down to a 250 season,
right.
Have a bad year. When you have a guy like Damian Lillard, you know what you're going to expect
right.
out of him. He's going to get you 25 points a
right.
game at least. It's harder to sure, age will come into play. And,
I see what you're saying.
And you'll decline. So it's like it's hard for someone else to prove that they are an MVP when you got these guys stick in that same spot.
Right. I see what you mean now. The decline's more gradual.
Yeah.
For the most part, unless you're like Westbrook, who we all saw what was going to happen. But,
yeah, that was a pretty significant decline for what he used to be. But
now, the West's playoff picture is also kind of jumbled together, really. In all honesty, it's kind of up to the 4 seed on down, and it's not because I don't even think, like, again, another example of this for me where it's like I don't see like the Suns or the Warriors falling into the play-in. But, I mean, mathematically they could. Likewise, I don't see the Thunder,
Say it with me. I don't see the Kings falling in the play-in.
Exactly. I don't see the Kings falling in the play-in either. But
the Kings are a lock.
So that being said, I mean, the play-in for the West is a bit more jumbled up to me because you have, like, for example, Lakers are on the outside looking in right now. LeBron's out for another couple weeks away, it seems. Doesn't need surgery. But, I mean, that's a huge setback for them. I mean, I know we can say what we want about LeBron at this point, but when you're the main focal point of a team and you're out, I mean, that makes it tough for them to elevate themselves. The Blazers, they're a game and a half back of the Pelicans, and they just played, and the Pelicans won last night against them. Do we really foresee the Blazers making it? I don't know. Probably not, but you never know. It'll be interesting. The West intrigues me to see who actually ends up where in a way, the 7 through 10, because, look, the Clippers and Mavericks are separated by half games. Same with the Warriors to the Mavericks. Anything could kind of happen. Like I said, I don't see the Warriors falling back in. I could see the Clippers falling back in. They haven't done anything for me all year. Kawhi Leonard does not look like the Kawhi Leonard we remember from a couple of years ago. Like, I remember watching a game last week. I think it was the first game, at least on the late slate, nationally, at post All-Star break. And, like, he looked like he was just, like, struggling to take jump shots. Like, he does not look right when he takes a jumper. You know what I mean? There's, like, the fluidity's not there. So, I don't know. They're also on a 3-game losing streak. Mavericks, I don't know how well this Kyrie-Luka thing's actually working out at this point. They've had some miscommunication. I'd like to think that they'd at least elevate them to in the playoff. I don't know where, probably the 5 or 6 seed, but I don't see them getting much further than that. The Timberwolves are just a mess at 500. The Jazz have fallen back like I think we expected them to do, but out of the 7 through 10 teams, Mavericks, Wolves, Jazz, Pelicans, I see them as the best chance to maybe elevate because they just have a cohesive team that's played together all year and they know what to expect out of each other. It's weird in a way.
The only thing I'll say about the Lakers, just like the East, they don't win that often. And when you lose and there's that many teams ahead of you, I'm pretty sure they're only ahead of Houston and San Antonio, right?
The Lakers?
The Lakers.
Well, Blazers and Thunder.
Blazers are under them, though?
Blazers and Thunder are both under them, yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. But anyway.
The Blazers losing last night's what propelled them below.
Yeah, so there's just so many teams there. you lose one game, there's a good chance you're going to lose a game on a couple of them.
Yeah, I mean, like the West is the same as the East. Mathematically speaking, there's really only two teams that you can really officially roll out, and that being the Spurs and Rockets. So it will be an interesting couple weeks here. At that point, you finally get down to where it's kind of teams are within that 12 to 15 games left range. And it's at that point that you really kind of see, I wouldn't say maybe panic, but the frustration really comes to the surface.
How many in a row is the Spurs loss?
One.
No.
They won the other night.
Okay. Wasn't it like 16 or something?
Yeah.
They were up to like 16.
Speaking of streaks. I think, and as much as I like them, you know, I don't know if Pop is for this age anymore.
Yeah, it's got to be tough.
Yeah.
You win all those championships and then lose like this.
Yeah.
But that West race, it's hard. It's hard to tell. It can change. It's going to change every single day. I don't know who I like. I mean, I guess I got to go with Denver. I think Denver in the West is not sold on Memphis.
No,
I'm not sold on them.
See, the Memphis thing is interesting, and I think this might be a really good point to kind of transition over. But the Ja Morant stuff's going to be interesting here. I don't know if they'll wait until the offseason to kind of do anything legally here.
Yeah, because that's not good luck.
No. And at that point, I mean, you have a banged-up Desmond Bane. After that, Dylan Brooks. And you could kind of do an inverse Jordan rules with Dylan Brooks, where teams would do it with Kobe, where it's like talk so much crap and get in his head that he's just taking every shot. And it's, clank, 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 clank. So, I don't know. But let's transition over to college basketball because we do have some interesting stories that are kind of going on. We're in the final couple really days here for regular season stuff. Conference tournaments already have started in some. Shout out to, I believe, the Ace Sun and Horizon.
The Patriot.
Yep.
And the Fun Belt gets started too?
Fun Belt. So
the women's ACC tournament.
But we do need to jump in here because I'm intrigued to hear your thoughts on the Brandon Miller situation with Alabama. It's hard for me. The fact that he's on the court, I can't blame Brandon Miller that he's on the court. That's not his decision. 18, 19 years old, he's just going to go where he's told that he can go, more or less, right? But in that sense, I don't want to get this thing misconstrued. But to me, the fact that the administration in Alabama, NATO, it's the head coach, have allowed for what has transpired for him to be on the court, really this awful blanket like PR statements, and then having his intro through the line be the pad down thing is just incredible. I circle back to something I heard on the Eyes on College Basketball podcast, and it's something that everyone I've kind of have heard talk about this situation has brought up, and the fact that I believe this to be true as well. If this was a walk-on, he would not be on the team. Mm-hmm. Okay?
Not even, I don't think a bench player he'd be on the team.
And to prove my point of that, we don't have to go farther back. Now, what I'm about to say in this example, I'm not comparing. I admittedly, in this sense, and I don't want to make it sound like this offense is not bad because it certainly is awful. Look at the Duke DWI situation last year. Paolo Banchero walked away pretty much unscathed. I think he served a one-game suspension or something like that, and Coach K played him. Coach K's grandson, a walk-on on the team, got kicked from the team, so much so that I can't even remember his name. Now, again, like I said, I'm not comparing murder to a DWI. It's a fairly relative apples to oranges deal, and I don't want to make it sound like one case is worse than the other here, but the point still stands. The star of the team walked away pretty unscathed in that Duke situation. And at the moment, Same thing's happening in Alabama. Now, things can get different here in a quick minute, depending on how, excuse me, how these court proceedings still kind of continue to go through here the next couple weeks. So it's bad. It's not a good look all the way around. I mean, Nate Oates is just like, we don't condone this, what happened, right, on the team, but he's back. You don't condone it. Like, do you mean to tell me six guy John Smith off the bench? You mean to tell me that you think it's all right then if he just is driving around with a gun in the back of his car no matter what anyway? Like, it's just dumb. It's such a bad look for a team that is, well, having their best year in school history. Nate Oates probably winning Coach of the Year. I don't think that happens now. I think he kind of tanked that. And in all honesty, a guy whose stock was through the roof could probably get, if he wanted to leave Alabama, any job he wanted to in the country. I think that's gone now as well.
Yeah, I can't blame it all on Nate Oates because you don't know if he's just the messenger.
Well, and that's the thing in
guys
this too.
Upstairs.
Right, that's the thing in this too, where I think it's getting lost is the administration on this needs to be held accountable.
Yes.
They need to be held accountable.
And we don't know their names. They don't come out publicly
Right.
and say their names. So Nate Oates is the one that's getting all the blame for all this. And it's a terrible look. That's the problem with with all sports. They will do whatever they will. They'll do whatever it takes to win a game. And it's kind of sad because there's a lot more situations. I mean, the kid should be off the team.
Yeah.
At least for this season.
It's not even close.
Until everything is
Yeah.
figured out. You know, he's got to be gone. I don't care what type of talent he is. He's got to be gone. But like you said, if it was a role player, yeah, I would think even a role player, but you said walk on, they would be off the team, but he's the star of the team, right? Is he
Yeah.
the best player on the team?
I mean, he's projected top 5 NBA draft pick this upcoming summer.
Yeah, so they're going to cover it up. Then the whole intro thing, that was just a bad look.
And the thing with that too, right, is like it's only going to snowball even more and more. So, look, by all accounts right now, Alabama's still projected to be a number 1 seed. I believe it's in the Midwest, I think, if I remember right. It could be the South, actually. Either way. They win the round of 64 game, it's only going to get louder. They win the round of 32 game, it's only going to get louder. Sweet 16, Elite 8, they make it to the Final Four. The story is going to be huge. Like, you can't tell me it's not going to be a distraction from the team anyway, in that sense. I do have some names, however. I do want to, you talk about putting names to faces. And luckily, because Alabama anyway is a public institution, Charlie Henry, Brian Hodgson, and Antoine Petway, assistant coaches, Josh Pierre, the director of operations, Greg Byrne, the athletic director at the University of Alabama, if you want to get technical, at Tuscaloosa. So,
Nick Saban.
Yeah. And that's pretty much, who we're kind of looking at, I'd say, the main players in all this. I don't think the team chaplain is exactly held accountable here, but, if you want to go further down the list, I'm more than welcome to you. Just go to rolltide.com/sports/men's-basketball/coaches.
They're the ones. This should be.
And like I said, Alabama's been a fun team to watch all year. I mean, they were.
They're a basketball school now.
Yeah, among other things. To the point that I didn't see a way that they could go and make any difference, do any wrong, and now there's clearly a huge wrong.
Yeah.
And it's just it's crazy to me in a year that college basketball season that we talked about what's happening at New Mexico State and this happening and how both these stories in a way have been kind of, I wouldn't say buried, but kind of put on the back burner for a lot of people to discuss. Like, and it's funny because I mentioned, the Eyes on College Basketball podcast. CBS, that's a CBS sports broadcast podcast, right? They're the ones who have March Madness. They're not running away from it. But the other institutions, ESPN, Fox, they're kind of running away from it. They're afraid to talk about it. It's not that difficult to talk about. In fact, it's not that difficult to have an opinion on. I think everybody with a conscience and agreement here that he shouldn't be on the court. And that's just the fact of the matter. And I understand he's not the one to pull the trigger. At the end of the day, to me, he's an accessory to what happened. He's an accessory to that killed a young mother at the end of the day. And I think another part that kind of gets forgotten about, the point that even I forget about every now and then when I think about this, is that he wasn't the only Alabama player besides Darius Miles who pulled the trigger. Was there? There were other teammates there. They're unnamed at the moment. They were there. So, like, I don't know what we're doing fully in terms of if you're Alabama.
The NCAA will step in?
No. I have no faith the NCAA is doing the right thing. You kidding me? They suspended a men's tennis program. They gave him a men's tennis program at Bradley.
They're trying to shorten the college football
The
games.
death penalty. They gave him the death penalty because they went and got burgers post-match one time freaking 20 years ago.
They're trying to shorten the college football games.
I don't care. Screw the NCAA. Speaking of screwing the NCAA, Syracuse. I know this is going to be a joyous time for you a little bit here.
No.
Because tensions are high. Got one regular season game left. I ask this as a person to you because you're not a fan of Syracuse. You're an observer on this situation more than anything.
I'm not a hater.
Well, what's it been like? What's it been like as a non-Syracuse fan, kind of watching this situation unfold around the basketball team?
Does Jim Boeheim have a cane?
Wow, not what I was expecting. Not that I'm aware of.
The old man needs to go. Okay, okay. I mean, it's time. It is time. They need a new face in there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I understand completely because Notre Dame is going to be doing the same thing next year. It was nice. I should have bet the house on Notre Dame to win last night in Mike Bray's final home game against Pittsburgh. They got it done.
Has he left linebackers yet? Do we know? Is he alive?
Who?
Mike Bray.
Yeah, he was there last night.
That's what I'm getting at. Is he alive, though? Did you know what happened?
No.
Okay. I don't mean to interrupt and get off track here, but they asked him at his press conference Tuesday at practice. So there's a famous bar in South Bend near Notre Dame's campus called Linebackers. And that's heavily populated by people within athletics and the fans and stuff like that. Mike Braden knows all about it, but has never been. He just said that after last night's game, he was going, and there would be no curfew for him to return.
Oh, really?
Or any. He also, I think, he opened up for anybody legally of age on the team to come and join him, and he said that there would be no curfew or anything like that. So that's what I'm saying is, do we know if Mike Bray's alive?
That's pretty cool. But
he seems like the type of guy who'd get after it.
Yeah, I'm intrigued to see where he's going to go next. Obviously, I don't blame him. I don't blame anyone. You know, it's like the Brian Reynolds thing with the Pirates. I don't blame him wanting to get out because go get your money. I don't blame Mike Bray. You're not going to win a championship at Notre Dame. As much as I would like to believe so, we've made a couple Elite Eights, you know, in years past. But I don't think he's got enough to do it there. I think he should go one of the better programs and go win yourself a national championship because he's a hell of a coach and deserves the credit of at least a Final Four appearance. So I wish him best of luck. I'm intrigued to see who we bring in. I was happy they got the win last night. But Syracuse, back to Syracuse. They have a really good team this year.
Mm-hmm.
I will say that honestly. They really have a good team this year. But Joe Girard kills them out there.
Yeah.
Joe Girard, at times, they need him because he could be a scorer to help with the offense. But defensively, he's not even made for that zone. I couldn't even imagine. He has to play zone because I couldn't even imagine playing man-to-man. But he's just, I don't know. It was a nice story. Glen Falls averaged 50 points a game against Pee Wee kids, must be. But he should be playing on like Colgate or something like that. I'm not saying he's not a Division I player, but he shouldn't be playing on Syracuse. And this is a Syracuse program that used to be elite. They never cared about no damn bubble. Now they're not even near the bubble, and it's just a mediocre program, and it's been like that for the last 3 years. They have good players. Judah Mintz is a good player. Jesse Edwards is a good player. I think the transfer portal has killed them. Because they used to leave because these kids made terrible decisions to go to the NBA. Tyler Lydon, Dante Green. But they made these terrible decisions. Malachi Richardson.
Don't say leave.
They made these terrible decisions to go to the NBA and leave early. But now they're going to other schools. And it's hurt Syracuse. I mean, what made Syracuse great back in the day was what they would have these guys for 4 years. The Brandon Trish, the Scoop Jardine, the Rick Jackson, the Chris Joseph. These guys stayed for the whole time, and they got the experience. And they built, when they came up, became seniors with the younger kids, they had a team that could build the Final Four run. That's not Syracuse anymore. And it's just sad because it really is sad. The dome is not filled up like it used to be. Jim Boeheim, the game's past him. And I think the worst thing that can happen for Syracuse, if no offense to Jerry McNamara, but the problem with Jerry McNamara, I'm afraid he's going to be the same style.
Yeah.
And recruiting has not been the same since Hopkins left. I know Hopkins has been killing out there in Washington, has not done great out there, but recruiting's not been the same. And it's hard to recruit when you're a 70-year-old man like Jim Boeheim because these players don't know how long he's going to be there.
Right.
So, I don't know, it's just sad.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with every point you have. I've been saying now really I don't want somebody from the inside. I prefer somebody from the outside at this point. Because I'm with you. I don't even see, you bring up McNamara about, a guy like Adrian Autry. And I don't know if there's going to be a change when that time comes.
These players want to get ready for the NBA. They don't want to play zone.
Yeah, I mean, the zone anyway, if you're going to do a zone in today's day and age, you have to flip and do like a 3-2. So, look, Georgia Tech made 18 of 43s the other night.
A record,
I think
it was a school record.
That's just, what are we doing here? I mean, that's just a long list. I mean, I think teams have had not record years against Syracuse this year against the three, but like high
They've lost to
games.
Colgate 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
That is not Syracuse basketball.
It's inexcusable. It really is. And look, the dome was, I give credit to like the students who showed up still and stuff like that, but like, if you're the athletic department, that was a pathetically filled dome on Tuesday night. It just was.
Was that the senior night?
No, senior night is Saturday.
Okay, so they have one more.
When they're honoring the 2003 team. It will probably be a little bit more busier, I'm imagining, against Wake for that game. But like, I can tell you this: I know tickets probably aren't selling great because they're doing a BOGO sale right now. I think, or not BOGO. I think it's like a flash sale for like $30 or whatever. But there's just so many. To me, it's a Syracuse as a whole problem, department-wise, and I don't want to fully get as deep as we probably could on it, only because I don't think we have the time, and I don't think I personally have the patience. But like, they got flexed Tuesday night from TV. Like, what? And that's the thing. Like, Wild Hack, the athletic director, is in there as this money guy more than anything else. Former ESPN guy, former head of ESPN guy, and the fact that a game got flexed on his watch and he couldn't do anything about it goes to show to me that one, he can't make a decision anyway, or one of substantial need. And two, if he can't do that, then what's the point? He hasn't done much athletically, in my mind, to make a difference. Now, I understand Syracuse is doing well in some of these aggregate sports, and that's all fine and well. That's cool. But at the end of the day, nobody on the grand scheme of things is caring about swimming or golf or anything like that.
Boys soccer.
I'm not going to go fully to men's soccer yet.
Soccer, sorry.
Only because soccer is back on the rise in America. So I'm not going to fully go there yet. But it's not one of the main.
It's football or basketball.
But it's not one of the main sports. Frankly, it's not one of the main sports, right? And at Syracuse, I'll allow for both lacrosses to be considered main sports. That's definitely fair and well. But the men's program hasn't done anything in over a decade, right? Girls lacrosse has been very good lately and continue to be good. I mean,
women's lacrosse.
Yeah, women's lacrosse, apologize. So, look, I mean, maybe he's doing something right in some spots, but, I mean, the glaring needs of the department to me are not being met. So, I don't know.
It's mediocre basketball.
Yeah. Let's transition over, before we get out of here, to some non-mediocre basketball. Sectional time here locally. We mentioned it last week. But, Nick, me, you, Nate, we've been seeing a little bit of each other here the past few days.
Yeah.
On the courts.
Get away from me.
Honey Oaks Falls, Lima. Did you see him in gym a couple days ago in
I've
Canandaigua?
seen Nate every day this week.
So how about that, Ben? Do you guys feel closer together now than ever before?
Yeah, I just have to, I guess.
It's been an interesting sectional run, I'd say, for the local teams. I think a couple teams that we hope to see kind of make it farther didn't end up happening. But we do have some teams, still going for the brick, right? I mean, Newark boys going for it. Girls side, we have Waterloo, Palmac going at each other again. Dundee Bradford girls, Lions boys are all in the finals as well.
Canandaigua girls, give them a shout out.
Canandaigua girls, Victor boys. So it's been a fun little stretch so far, kind of watching some of these games. Like I said, hope that we would always have more teams of our local brand in it, but we don't. But we've seen our fair share of games so far this sectional run. Any one in particular for you, Nick, that you've been at that kind of sticks out from the rest? Or
I told you at the beginning. I think I've said it on here. I definitely said it off air. Dundee Bradford girls, they're a good team. Lost the last 2 years to York. York is not in the tournament anymore. They got beat, so they play Pavilion.
They do, the 3-seeded Pavilion something.
Supposedly noon on Saturday, but
I think that game's fine. That game for sure is fine.
I don't know. The Waterloo game is still on, I think, tomorrow.
Yes, correct.
And there's supposed to be a snowstorm.
Allegedly.
So we'll see when these games get played, but no surprise, Waterloo, Palmac are going to get the rubber match. We had a rubber match last night with Waterloo and Newark boys. You never know what happens in a rubber match. It's always a getaway day in baseball.
So, where will you be this weekend?
I'm the Figure Lakes Times girls basketball beat writer right now.
Okay.
So I will be at the Waterloo Palmac game and at the Dundee Bradford one on Saturday.
A couple good ones for you there. We'll be at the Waterloo Palmac as well. And I believe we'll be
whenever that may be.
Newark boys Saturday morning. Nate, fun. What games kind of stick out to you? Most fun for you that you've enjoyed?
Most fun game for me so far, the sectionals, is Tuesday night, Palmyra Macedon, Livonia, really close game. Ended up being a 2-point game. Ball on the hands of a Livonia player at the end of the game, got called for the travel, so unfortunately wasn't able to force overtime or anything like that, but still a really exciting game at Canandaigua Academy on Tuesday night.
Kind of liked, even though Minders lost, and the Hornell.
Yeah, that was a fun game too.
That was a fun game to at least call and broadcast.
Honey Falls Lima does a great job there.
Oh, it's a fantastic facility. I love it. It's tough to get to, a little bit of an adventure getting home, but
yeah, it was a little snowy out that night, but
I had to fight the steering wheel a couple of different times going through those hills, but we got back.
Unfortunate for Minders.
Have to thank my crew chief, Nate Sharman. Made the right adjustments through and through.
It's always a tough game for me to.
Car ran well.
It's always a tough game for me, family ties to Hornell.
Right.
And Minders, obviously.
Tough spot for you.
Yeah, it was the shout out Lindsay Marino, Katie.
Did you just combine your cousins?
I did. Lindsay was Lindsay Murphy, now Lindsay Kiefer, Katie Marino.
Oh my gosh.
Lindsay Marino, there we go. But
man.
Shout out Penfield as well. Shout out Jack, Penfield. I think Penfield has got the highest enrollment in Section 5.
Really?
I think they're the biggest school.
They're the biggest going in Double-A.
Yeah. Shout out Penfield.
They lost Edison Tech in the first round of Double-A in the pre-quarters. Tough scenes.
Yeah, Penfield won't ever play Miners in Hornell because they're scared.
That's right.
They're scared.
That's right. So a lot of action there.
Penfield is the largest school in Section 5?
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised by that now that we're kind of vocalizing it out loud.
My money would have probably been on Fairport.
Yeah, I was about to say Fairport, or maybe. Actually, I was going to say maybe one of the Websters.
I think it's Penfield.
I mean, I'm not doubting you. I'm not doubting you at all. I didn't know that.
Not 100% certain though, but
not circling back. What can I get for Brighton?
That's probably a good one too.
What can I get for Romulus?
Oh, all right. Before we get out of here fully, Nick, got a couple seconds here. We're going to see, it's a quiet night for us here. We don't have to go to any games, so we are going to be taking advantage. We're going to see a movie that we've been wanting to see
Yeah.
since we saw the preview of it back in December, I think. Cocaine Bear.
Really?
I'm excited.
Cocaine Bear.
Mhm.
Interesting. Is it Ray Loyola's last?
And this is his last technical acting role, unfortunately,
He was a funny
before he
guy.
passed. R.I.P.
But the only thing I have a question with this movie, I understand the premise of the movie.
So-
it's a bear on cocaine.
So it's not based on a true story. It's based on the true events that occurred within it. So there are going to be a lot of liberties taken, the way it seems.
Who's the main character in this movie?
The bear. It's got to be the bear, right?
A bear.
It's got to be the bear. The bear's got to be the main character.
I would hate to be the bearer of bad news if it's not.
Jesus, take
This guy.
a lap.
You like that.
I mean, it was a solid pun. I'm not going to lie.
Ball's a big pun guy, but I don't know, man. I think it's one of those movies that could be really surprisingly good, or one of those movies that's absolutely terrible. I have not seen the ratings, but I don't know. A bear, really? A bear's the main character? All right, Paul, you can start talking again.
Sorry. I'm intrigued by. So like, you know this. Nate knows a little bit of it, but like I do like historical stories, kind of like this. And I think this
You've
is
seen this before.
no. I'm saying like, okay, like 42 for bad example probably, but you know, like 40, like 42.
Yeah, I've heard the movie. I've seen it.
Moneyball, stuff like that. You know what I mean? Where Casino's probably a better example of this, or Goodfellas, where it's based on true events. But this is also labeled as a comedy horror film. Now, normally I'm not big on the horror of it, but I'm guessing
people are gonna die in this movie.
I'm guessing the horror of it's the bear mauling people, and not actually, here comes Scream stabbing you with a machete.
I'm showing the viewers and myself right now the trailer, and it's wild.
Wait a second, are we allowed to do that?
I'm doing it.
Okay. But Nate's just like, you realize what might have happened there. Look, I mean, there are names in this, right? I mean, it's directed and produced by Elizabeth Banks. Obviously, Ray Liotta's in it, but O'Shea Jackson Jr. is in it. Do you know who O'Shea Jackson Jr. is?
One of the Jackson 5?
No, that's Ice Cube's son,
Oh.
who's become an actor. So he was actually Ice Cube in the NWA
So he's crushed ice.
bioflick. So yeah. God damn it. I'm looking forward to it. I think with a movie like this, you have to go a little bit under the radar expectation-wise, and maybe not expect maybe a ton in terms of actual good cinematic masterpiece type thing. You know what I mean? It's a little over an hour and a half, 95 minutes long. So I think it's kind of right in that good like money spot in terms of comedy and horror. I mean, obviously together, but it's kind of in that good spot where you aren't in there for too long, you know what I mean? But it's not too short either.
Do you think there'll be a moment where you'll laugh as much as that final scene of Sausage Party?
Oh, jeez.
Paul, I don't know if you know this story.
Yeah,
Nate.
okay,
Paul
so-
almost had a heart attack in the
I
in the
know,
movie
no,
theater.
not a
Final-
not a heart attack. But the woman seated next to me literally had to get up and ask me if I was okay because she thought I was having a seizure.
I won't describe the final scene. If you've seen Sausage Party,
You
it's-
know.
You know. It's the last scene, and Paul lost it.
So I'm looking forward to tonight. Like I said, I'm going in. Expectations are low because I mean the style of movie probably to me is just not going to be overly. Like I said, I don't expect this to be like Godfather Part 2. So, but I go in under the radar. I'm looking forward to it. I mean, we've been so locked up. I think as a group, like me, you, Matt, the group that usually kind of goes to the movies at this point. We've been so like kind of locked in tight on like Marvel the past. I wouldn't say few years because 2020 is kind of a
Well, you and Justin went to go
Throwaway.
watch Vacation.
and that
It
was not
can't
good.
get any worse than that.
Or that World Mind. What movie was it? Warcraft.
Warcraft.
That was. I didn't know what the hell was going on in that, but
We must have been very bored.
yeah. Like I said though, I think outside of like the Marvel movies the past few years that we've been able to actually go in theater and watch. I mean,
Which one did you see on Christmas?
Ford versus Ferrari's up there, but we didn't see that on Christmas.
It was last Christmas.
What was it? Why am I drawing a blank? It's where we saw the trailer for this.
Last Christmas, we I can't. I have a blank.
It's not.
It was in Syracuse. We went to
We went to Destiny and we survived people.
Oh, it's the Santa Claus movie, Violent Night.
Oh, Violent Night, yeah, that was good though. See, I kind of hope it's kind of like that where there's that comedy element and that. So, that's what I'm hoping for. Yeah. Okay, let's get out of here. We've been dragging this on too long enough. Nick, do you have anybody you're shouting out today?
Yeah, friend of the podcast, Justin Kiefer, my cousin. His birthday is on Sunday.
Happy birthday.
And his son, Max, who's turning 6.
Sheesh.
His birthday's on Wednesday.
Happy birthday to Max.
Yeah, Max is turning 6 now. Justin he's a assistant lacrosse coach for Lebanon Valley College in Lebanon. I don't know if it's in Lebanon. I think it's a town over. But anyway, it's in Pennsylvania.
It's in the Harrisburg metropolitan area.
He's trying to make Max a lacrosse player, but
I feel like hockey's taking over based on some of those
it better be
stories I've seen,
baseball.
yeah. Oh,
Better-
really?
It better be. It won't be.
Has-
He will never buy
Has
him a
baseball
glove.
been introduced to Max? Do you
Probably
know?
not. He probably will not buy him a glove, a bat. Won't even show it on the television.
Sounds like we know what your mission's got to be, Nick. Sounds like we know what your mission's got to be.
Yeah.
Get him
Lacrosse.
Get him a pirate hat.
Lacrosse. Where's he gonna go with that sport? Come on.
Sheesh. It's
Baseball is where it's at.
not wrong. At least at the moment, you're definitely
Anyway,
not wrong.
shout out Justin and Max.
All right, Nate, appreciate you as always behind the scenes. Make sure if you see us this weekend at Rush or the Blue Cross Arena, come up, say hi. We aren't completely weirdos. I promise. So for Nate Sharman, Nick Felice.
Has
Paul-
anyone ever come up and said hi?
Yes, actually.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, we actually, okay.
They had to stop the broadcast last
We
night.
literally had
postgame.
to, I literally got cut off mid-sentence by an 8th grader.
Really? They're big fans.
They came up and was like, "Are you guys broadcasting our tournament?" I'm like, no, we aren't.
Ah,
It's like, oh, man.
that sucks.
It was kind of out of the blue. It was
Yeah,
very
Paul
strange.
broke the kid's dreams right on live radio.
I did break the kids' dreams on live radio. So,
Cruel, man.
yeah. I would say I apologize, but I don't. So.
That's all, folks.
Like Nick said, that is all. So make sure if you can't watch us live every Thursday, you can on YouTube, Spotify, Anchor, other major podcasting platforms. And until next week, have fun. We'll talk to everybody then.